In today's video, we're gonna get a little negative.
10 reasons why you should not play Yu-Gi-Oh!
But we also made a video of 10 reasons you should play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, so maybe you're coming here after you watch this.
Or maybe you haven't seen it yet.
But either way, these are 10 things that we do not really like about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I would definitely warn people to know about before they start playing the game.
We've had a long time to air out our grievances.
And if you don't like the sort of negativity, well, you can always just watch the positive video instead.
We tried just as hard, we swear. All right, the number one reason you should not play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Yu-Gi-Oh! Can get expensive. And I mean prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, that's probably the number one thing when I ask people like on social media, like, hey, like, what do you like about Yu-Gi-Oh? What do you not like? And most people said this game is just really freaking expensive.
Because I've said before that to play competitively at Yu-Gi-Oh, you gotta spend some money. And you might argue if you want to do something at its highest level, then there should be some type of financial investment. And then you look at like all the other card games,
and you realize that we, on average, just have the most expensive top decks. I mean, I know that like some games and some formats maybe beat it out, but just a lot of times with Yu-Gi-Oh, if you want to play the best cards, like you'll usually need like let's say right now, a play set of Fiendsmith Engravers and Tracks. Some of that's kind of been reprinted recently, but like there was a time when those were both like like $80, $90 cards. Dominus Impulse, that's like 60, 70
you
bucks.
Need a host of hand traps.
You gotta have like all these hand traps. Sometimes there's an extra deck card that might be $30, $50, $100. And by the time you finish your deck, you might have had to spend, $700, $800. And that's like to just kind of get your foot in the door in terms of
that's just to go
playing
0-3
the
at
game.
Nats.
Yeah, you still have to be good at the game. You still have to do all the rest of the stuff, but that's just like, it can be really frustrating. I also think that with Yu-Gi-Oh, like cards don't always get reprinted super fast. And so like if you're priced out of a card, you just might be shit out of luck for a bit.
I mean, and I wish I could say that this is like, oh, this is all your choice. You choose to pay this much money. But Konami specifically makes sure that the best cards and the best archetypes, like the whole archetype will be higher rarity than like everything else in the set.
Now the caveat and a silver lining here is that, you don't have to pay this much money, you'll just lose if you don't.
Yeah, you can just lose.
Now,
losing's free.
You can play with your friends at the kitchen table, but if you're going to like a regional, you're going to YCS, you're probably got to spend a penny or two.
Yeah, and that's just on your side deck.
Reason number 2 why you might not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is this game is demanding to play.
Oh yeah.
I want to be clear here. I think that learning Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually surprisingly easy. The rules themselves make sense. The game itself is hard. This game has so many moving parts when you get into kind of the finer nuances of things. Mm-hmm. There's so many things like, chain blocking, game state stuff that just happens. Rulings can be really complex. There are a lot of combo lines to memorize, a lot of card text to quickly read and synthesize on the spot.
And if you're in tournament, you have a 50-minute timer.
Oh, less, 45.
We're on 45 now? You have a 45-minute timer.
It used to be 40. But seriously, I think with Yu-Gi-Oh, that's kind of one of the hardest parts is just people, they pick up the game, they learn the rules, and maybe that's fine to start, but you kind of get thrown into the deep end. And because games go fast, it feel very like kill or be killed, right? You got to make the right decisions fast. You got to make them now, because if you make a wrong call on anything, your combo can go wrong and you end up with nothing. Your opponent OTKs you, you get interrupted by something, you get Nibiru'd. Like, there are so many like fine nuances that maybe if you master them, they can be fun. But I think for the average person, it's just a lot.
I mean, and there's really no easy way to ease yourself into this. Like, you kind of just have to go all the way in with Yu-Gi-Oh! From the jump, and that can be a challenge.
Yeah, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really rough in that way. It's very trial by fire. I have respect for the people who can manage it, but it's not for everyone.
My next reason why you shouldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, well, Konami, our parent company.
They're not always the best.
Yeah, they're not great. They're
not
great.
always the best.
And sadly, there's a few reasons why they're not great. I mean, communication.
This has always been my number one thing. Konami is not super you won't really hear when a ban list is coming out. We don't get dates for those. They can kind of just happen.
And when Konami makes their ban list decisions, or really any decision, there's usually no reason why. They don't explain things to us.
Yeah, we get very little insight into any of that process. I mean, you know, typical games these days, you'll get some sort of like a patch note. Here's what the developer's intentions maybe were with balancing. With Konami, it's just like, okay, like you'll get the ban list when you get it. I mean, you get it, you got it. And
get it?
Deal with that. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's also, there's other things too. I feel like, you know, people kind of complain about Konami's pricing structure, and sort of rightfully so. It hasn't been super strong.
I mean, we're at the strongest we've ever been, and people still don't get any money.
Yeah, there's always the Nintendo Switch memes. Obviously, people want cash prizing, and that's something that games like Pokemon offer.
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, recently we have finally gotten a sort of new set of prizes announced that more closely resemble the like One Piece Lorcana thing, where you get promotional cards for like making top 128 and then making top like 32, 16.
It doesn't fix the problem that if you need to make your money back on maybe the plane tickets or the deck that you built, then you kind of just have to sell your prizing to do that.
And it can be difficult. I do think that prizing is something that a lot of people don't love about the Konami end of things. And also I think just even the product cycles are something that can get a little bit wearing. There are printing issues. Sometimes like cards get just rarity bumped to secret rare, and like the TCG versus the OCG, which is spoiler, we'll get into that in a bit.
Sometimes there are product delays, and that can throw things way off because, well, like you hinted at, we're behind the OCG when it comes to products. So if we get a delay, it feels like cards can take forever to make their way into TCG land.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even know like when a card's gonna be imported, and it's like kind of a bit of a mess. Also, some products have gotten like better in recent years, like the rated collections are cool, but then on the other hand, we've had a steep decline in the quality of like each year's tins, for instance.
The what we call mega tins, they haven't been mega in a long time.
Yeah, they've kind of just gotten worse.
The Battles of Legends sets, like
they've been suffering.
You can miss me with those, honestly.
Yeah, so and that's in addition to having to wait a long time for reprints, all of this stuff. It's not always great. So Konami, you know? Next thing is, this game moves fast. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a rocket speed train.
And we're not talking about just how fast a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goes.
We're talking
about like the macro of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame.
Yeah, power creep in this game is far more prevalent than any other card game because there is not really a resource system, and so nothing kind of prohibits card design. Cards get stronger and stronger, and formats move really quick.
Whatever they can't power creep, they ban.
And you really, if you get off the treadmill, think about, you know, a treadmill going at max speed. If you get off, you will fumble your way and fall off. Yep. And then getting back on is, it's rough. I've seen a lot of players who try to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! After a lot of years, and they find themselves thinking like, man, like what happened to the, I mean, I've only stopped like 2 or 3 years ago, and like everything's totally different.
I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Consistently after like 2014. Tier format happened, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. And once tier like went out of vogue, I felt so far behind Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, oh, there's these archetypes, these tech cards I've never seen before. Everyone's using them. I was confused. The pace of the game felt way faster than it used to. I'm thinking it's supposed to be better now that tier is not in the format. And it's like, no, now we all are kind of like tier.
Yeah, every deck kind of just does a little bit of
everything. We're playing on your turn, my turn, our turn.
Yeah, it's very wild. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not a game that takes kindly to breaks and kind of trying to hop back on. So if you're in,
you better stay in.
You better be in.
Locals have it rough when it comes to this game. And hear me out, because I'm pretty sure like half of you are like, no, my locals is booming. We have great events. Sure. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a mixed bag when it comes to local scenes. Some locals are popping. They're huge. They get great tournament attendance and prizing, and it's great. And then you have the suffering locals. You got like 3 players, and they don't want to play the same format.
Yeah, I think that something I've noticed with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now is that while the competitive scene seems to sort of be thriving in terms of interest and attendance, YCSs are getting really big, solid numbers, and that's good, the local scene sometimes suffers a little bit. I'm going to get into it a little bit more in my actual next reason, but I do think that a big part of this is locals, you know, prizing is kind of rough. Sometimes you'll find OTS qualified stores that still haven't gotten the latest OTS pack, Or maybe they haven't gotten the latest Lost Art cards, for instance.
I find that Yu-Gi-Oh has moved at such a blazing fast speed. A lot of like card shop owners and like the people and managers have no idea what's going on in Yu-Gi-Oh. You're asking for information on a new product, or maybe you want your Lost Star cards, and they're like, I don't know what you Yu-Gi-Oh players are talking about. You feel like a black sheep in the card shop.
I do think that a lot of card shops I've noticed seem like they have a difficult time with actually like wanting to order or pre-order sealed Yu-Gi-Oh products because Konami maybe does not communicate as quickly like what's going to be in a set. So a card shop owner might not know like, okay, do I want to buy a lot of rarity collection? Sure, you probably do. Do I want to pre-order a bunch of something like Battles of Legend or some tins that kind of end up being a stinker product or some Legendary Duelist set? You don't want to, but you can't always really know the difference. And then if you like over order and players don't want to buy it, it's like a whole thing. To be clear, some of these things can certainly apply to other card games. Like it's not always a Yu-Gi-Oh specific problem, but I have heard more horror stories in the last few years.
Look, we're Yu-Gi-Oh players. We can basically only approach this from a Yu-Gi-Oh point of view.
Time for that next reason I was alluding to. Big lack of the mid-core experience.
Oh, here we go.
So this is my little personal rant that I've always had about Yu-Gi-Oh, or at least in the last several years I have. Yu-Gi-Oh does not really have a middle ground area.
Nope.
There is a high-end competitive game where the game is played fast, it's hard, it's trial by fire, and people love it. If you're in, you're in. Great, you're having fun, you're going to the YCSs, you're grinding out combos, you're buying your spreadsheets, whatever. And then also, you know, you've got like a casual snapshot format scene. People maybe playing GOAT, playing Edison, they're enjoying themselves, good for them. However, the middle ground kind of finds itself being very empty, where like low to mid-tier rogue decks can't really keep up with high-tier decks.
What if I just want to play my pure Plunder Patrol deck?
Nowhere to play it.
Okay, that's what I thought.
A deck that came out more than like 2 years ago and it has a more modest power level, you know, you just kind of either get stomped by the best thing or people tell you to just try out Edison. But what if you don't want to try out Edison? You still want to play Nouvelles or, you know, Transcendosaurus or just kind of something that's dual avatar, right?
Well,
something that's recent and new.
For Transcendosaurus, you play Dino Pile combo and then you lose in the YCS.
Yeah, and you get to throw in like 6 Transcendosaurus cards maybe.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Your extra deck.
And so I do think that that's become a bit of a problem here because other card games are taking and occupying that space more now. For the mid-core player, they might find their way over to a Bandai card game like One Piece, or they might try out something like Lorcana, or even some of the many new games coming out now. There's like a League of Legends thing right around the corner.
There's always Commander format and Magic.
Yeah, that's always welcoming people in. And so I do think that Yu-Gi-Oh is lacking in the mid-core satisfaction department. And it just sort of sucks. If you don't have like a very dedicated group of friends who are willing to share that mid-core experience with you, play their 6 Samurai deck against, you know, your Armored Exeves
Oh, I don't
deck.
want to get hand looped.
That's a separate problem, but anywho, there's not much of a mid-core Yu-Gi-Oh experience, and that's why.
I almost got into this topic earlier, but I knew it was coming up, so I was gonna save it for this one. We don't really have an onboarding like strategy when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
If you don't know what onboarding is, it's how you get new people into your game and they stay playing your game. I know that we have the 2-player starter deck. That is woefully insufficient in actually getting someone into what modern Yu-Gi-Oh is. I mean, it's a fine product if you're just trying to show someone how to play not Edison format. Actually, no. If you're just want to go play Edison format, like a snapshot format, but modern Yu-Gi-Oh is so far removed from that product, it doesn't get the job done. So how do I get someone to learn and want to play modern Yu-Gi-Oh?
It gets back into the problem I was mentioning earlier about like the trial by fire issue where, you know, card text is long, decks are complex, turns last a long time, and you kind of lose quickly. So basically in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you don't really get the time to like sort of realize why you lost.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay,
it's
like
just over.
You messed up one thing and it's over, or like you've been locked out of the game and it's over, and your opponent played, you know, 20 different cards in the span of their combo. They use half their extra deck, half their deck's in the graveyard, everything's moving really fast. And there's not really a good product that like builds you up to that because like Alec is saying, the 2-player starter deck sucks and it doesn't resemble modern Yu-Gi-Oh at all. It doesn't even freaking come with a mat. And more importantly though, there isn't any other in-between thing. Like buy 3 Blue Eyes structure decks like is the best advice you can maybe give to somebody, but A, not everybody wants to play Blue Eyes, and B, even that deck has like nuances and doesn't include a combo guide or rule
You'll
book.
likely just play it poorly and you'll lose a lot and end up quitting again. But it's a shame because the deck is like really good out the box, but there's
fun.
nothing to actually show you how to play it.
You really have
in
to
a
have
competent
a Yu-Gi-Oh
manner.
guide. You have to have a Yu-Gi-Oh guide. Like you've got to either like go to YouTube, be lucky enough to like have a friend who's willing to kind of walk with you every step.
A Yu-Gi-Oh sensei.
But Yu-Gi-Oh itself is not like making it any easier for you. I think that in years past, Yu-Gi-Oh did not have this problem as much. There was a period of time where structure decks came out a lot more often, and we would even get new starter decks whenever a new summoning mechanic came out.
But we haven't had one since the Link stuff for range, right?
Yeah, and because there's not really like a slow-paced mid-power level format, you're either thrown to the wolves or maybe you just try Goat again.
Like, maybe it's too hard to onboard on Yu-Gi-Oh. Maybe this is a sign that Konami has thrown in the tile. Even they agree, they're like, we can't do it. We cannot onboard people into this
maybe
game.
It's just like, just let the whales buy their cards, but I definitely think this is something that Yu-Gi-Oh needs to be addressing because, like what I was saying with the mid-core argument, you can lose a lot of players to like, you know, a random Magic, Bandai, like One Piece sort of game, whatever. So
I guess you just buy a spreadsheet, I guess.
Yeah, that'll teach you Yu-Gi-Oh. You can pay for your spreadsheet now. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh, you should just pretend that the OCG doesn't exist because the moment that you recognize that it does, you will see how very consistently screwed you are getting as a TCG player. What is the OCG? Well, it's basically the official card game, or in other words, the game as it is in Japan.
Konami's favorite child.
In Japan, Yu-Gi-Oh products are just better. They get products sooner than we do. The print quality on cards is better. They tell them when they're getting their ban lists. They get way more merch that you can buy like for your favorite decks. And it just kind of seems like they care more about their OCG players. They take better care of them.
I don't know. It feels like the OCG is always announcing a new Yu-Gi-Oh thing, even if it's not cards. But over here, it feels like the only thing you get Yu-Gi-Oh wise is just the next big set.
You know, here's the cards, be happy.
We're selling you the next set. You happy?
Something interesting is that we recently actually opened a Duelist Advance OCG box from Yugi Market, one of the people, you can get OCG products from them, check them out. But yeah, even just opening that Duelist Advance box, they gave you a box topper pack, which had an ultra rare copy of a card, an older card related to one of the archetypes that gets support in the set. There was a token card in the box that you can like,
kind of rip it
kind
off.
of like peel off the box or whatever, and then sleeve it up, and it's a token. And you get that just when you buy the box. And
let's not forget, cards had multiple rarities in the main set. You could pull a card in like ultra secret and whatever else rarity all in one set.
The good old mixed rarity system that we all really would love to have in Yu-Gi-Oh.
I thought we couldn't have it. I didn't know they had it in the OCG like that. Why do they have it?
So what we're basically describing is an expensive card. Let's take maybe Dominus Impulse right now, kind of a pricey staple. Imagine that this card can be gotten as a super rare in your pack. Maybe it's worth a few bucks, easy to pull, and then also a secret rare. And maybe even every rarity in between. And the idea is that if you just want to get a copy of this card that is a new meta staple to play, it's easy to get like a low rarity one, put it in your deck, and be happy. If you want to kind of flex and have the blingy card and
people like to
spring
flex
for it, you can do that, but you and I are both able to get the card. And
it's completely optional.
Yes, and we don't get that. There's also so many other things like the tactical tri decks that exist in the OCG, where there are these
such good value
pre-built decks. There you even get like copies of staples and full engines, and they cost less than $10. There's so many just aspects of the OCG that make me wonder why they have not merged these two formats together. A lot of other card games are doing this right now.
For so long, I thought, it's logistically impossible. And then Bandai is like,
yeah, One Piece and Digimon and Gundam are all just gonna be like concurrent releases. And like even like League of Legends, it's getting a card game and it's coming out and they're gonna be doing it like just worldwide. Like everything's gonna be kind of on the same track. The only other card game I think that's not doing that right now is maybe Pokemon, so.
And Magic.
Well, sort of, maybe?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I have no idea how that works. Another reason you shouldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm sorry, y'all, but this community can suck. And yes, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, you watching this video, you suck.
No. If you're watching our videos, you're cool.
You're a nice guy.
Yeah, you're cool. The rest of them, no.
Now, I'll preface this by saying that I think that like lots of different fandoms and like kind of gaming communities can be toxic in their own ways. This is certainly not something exclusive to Yu-Gi-Oh, but it doesn't change the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh players can be a rough crowd.
Well, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh actually tries to like stoke that flame within us by making it so painful to lose at Yu-Gi-Oh, to make us invest so much into our cards, both monetarily and time, just to get completely obliterated and mollywopped by your opponent. It's gonna leave you kind of bitter.
I do think Yu-Gi-Oh is a game that sometimes feels like it can breed a little bit of negativity in the way that games close out. You got floodgated, you got hand trapped, you didn't get to play.
You got hand looped.
Yeah, and now like there's just sort of an inherent bitterness. But also, you know, like most online communities, people get bitter, like you're playing your deck the wrong way, you're not using the flashy new engine, or you're choosing to run the slow trap card of your archetype. You suck, your build sucks, you're terrible, kill yourself, die, right? That's the energy that you will find in Facebook groups, Discord servers, like
between rounds at a YCS.
Even that, like it's not always great, and this can be something that like happens at locals and at big tournaments, like everywhere in between. Not to say that all Yu-Gi-Oh players are bad. I don't even think most are.
You just will run into bad ones.
But yeah, there are bad
It's kind
eggs.
of a guarantee.
It's gonna happen. Try to make some friends so it's easier to endure.
Make friends with us.
Yeah, make friends with us through
But
the
we don't
screen.
go to all events, so...
No. You can be friends with us by liking the video.
Oh,
and
parasocial.
commenting and sharing. Then we'll be friends with you. The last reason why you might not really want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, sort of, kind of, there's not an anime running right now.
Oh, definitely not.
And I think that's actually really sad because Yu-Gi-Oh, what is it, Go Rush has like ended now, or at least not gotten confirmation from a new season. And so there's not a currently running Yu-Gi-Oh anime. You might be thinking that that's not a big deal, and maybe to you it isn't, but that means that there's not really like a new show to galvanize the community and give you like cards to look forward to and
There's
characters
no
to like.
inspiration for new strategies and decks, at least for the card design standpoint.
No, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duels!
Oh, that's where you're headed with it.
Yeah, I was trying to do a little fun segue. I know you probably were like, what the fuck is he saying?
No, yeah, Rush Duels aren't here, and let me tell you, it is the answer to what a lot of people, maybe not everyone, but to a lot of people have wanted in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is essentially a reboot under a more like controlled setting.
Yeah, so basically what Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duels is based off the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's anime, and it kind of has a different rule set, and I won't explain it all here.
If you ever played Speed Duels, it is similar.
They didn't release physical paper Rush Duel cards here in the TCG.
Nope.
They're over in Japan. This is kind of one of those like OCG is just better things. And it really sucks because, like Alec is saying, Rush Duel addresses a lot of the issues that we've even described in this video, and issues that a lot of people have with modern Yu-Gi-Oh's pacing and game balance and accessibility problems.
But it doesn't try and actually just do away with some of the things that Yu-Gi-Oh does well. Like in Rush Duels, you draw a full hand every turn, and you can summon as many times as you possibly can in a turn, but somehow they still keep that contained.
Yeah, they managed to balance it. Games don't actually end very fast, as crazy as that rule itself sounds.
But they definitely don't drag out.
Yeah, it's a fun alternate format and one that I really wish Konami would release physically. The silver lining is that it is an available mode to play in Duel Links, but like, come on, Konami.
Come on, like we were raised playing paper. We want to play paper. Now,
grab that deck over there.
I was
so
literally
you can
about
show
to
them.
do it because we have the latest Rush Duel structure deck right here. And do you recognize that guy? You know who that is?
Yeah, there's actually like an entirely new like Magician of Black Chaos structure deck. Meanwhile, Dark Magician hasn't even gotten a structure deck in the TCG ever.
Never happened. Rush Duel has one, and it's the goth bad boy himself.
Yeah, so I really think that should tell you all you need to know, that Rush Duels is really freaking cool. Those are 10 reasons why you might not want to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Like, if we sounded too bitter, maybe we're too like negative, we did record another video
where we're very positive, and that's the 10 reasons why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! We're doing a little social experiment to see which video is more popular with people. I have a hunch as to which will be.
Yeah, so, you know, you can judge us for being negative or positive or whatever, but we'll be judging you too.
Yeah, so let us know down in the comments. What other reasons might somebody have to not play Yu-Gi-Oh? Or if we want to maybe take a brighter spin on it, how should they address and fix some of the things that we talked about in this video?